All right, welcome back to Soul Sparked Radio or Tarot. I keep saying that. Soul Sparked Tarot. Got a single bell out or singing bell. I want to thank you all for being here today. Today feels like we're going to be in church. We're going to be at a sermon. But really, what today is, it's more about a message for you. It's a message for you to understand yourself. It's a message for you to help grow yourself. With that, I want to begin with a funny. Then we're going to jump into the cards. And then we're going to continue to learn how to love ourselves. So without further ado, let's get on to this funny business. So, I have been studying behavior for a long ass time, right? And behavior in people is what I've been studying, but I've been looking through the eyes of people. So that's the mind. And that leads me to trying to understand the spirit. So that's been my journey. And funny has like always been there. All the emotions themselves, in and of themselves, they're like gateways to different like versions of God. And so the blank slate neutrality of life is the omnipresence. That is the most in tune state with the Most High God. So the idea is now you have rulers. So you got like the God of this emotion versus the God of that emotion, and continue on to anything that can be created outside of just regular creation. In other words, a branch, a grandbaby, a great great grandbaby, my apprentice 3 years removed, whatever. The concept is derived from the self changing over time as the self. What does this have to do with funny? Well, there's different levels to funny, which is the whole expression of the levels or the lords of the different aspects of life. The omnipresence is all aspects in life. Here is a basic understanding. This is a part of the wooden board. This is more parts of the wooden board. This is the whole part of the wooden board. Here's 1 inch. Here's 6 inches. Here's 12 inches. It's not too hard. So you got the ruler of the 1 inch, then you got the ruler of the 6 inches, which rules over 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now that has been established, what the fuck does this have to do with funny? Well, when things are funny, we know it. We all know when things are funny. And it doesn't matter what you are or who you are. Even animals find things to be funny. Animals play jokes on each other. It's funny as fuck to see, because when I used to have my cats, I used to go and play pranks on the other cat with one of the cats. So I know for sure that nigga, I ain't tripping. We achieved our mission over and over. So you can't tell me no. And people do that shit, especially if you got dogs. So how does this relate to comedy? Well, we know when something is funny, we can see somebody's reaction. And then we know when something is really funny because we see the reaction. And we know the next level when somebody is dead laughing. Like, I'm laughing just thinking about the times where niggas is dead laughing. But then there's more. There's that laughter when niggas die. Like, y'all know when you die from laughter? Like, that shit, like, there's no sound, there's no motion, there's nothing. They just slump over, and then eventually they come back like, and then, like, so those are four distinct, clear levels of like laughter. And one behavior that is exuded, that was 3 minutes. One behavior that is exuded behind these layers of laughter is what Bobby is about to do right now. This, we talk about it with like black people when they like run around when something's really funny and they run around. And then you got like Caucasian folks when they'll be like, oh, that's a knee slapper, you know. And then like everybody has their own little thing culturally, and just, again, because you're lords of your own domain. But anyways, there are certain things that are omnipresent, and those are the shits that I'll be fucking with. And guess what? You're about to see Bobby. This motherfucker is about to show you. His head is going to go back. Everybody heads, I don't know why. It's like when we laugh and it's really fucking funny, our head goes backwards and we just ha 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 ha. Like our I just did that shit right there. Like we lean backwards. Sometimes we cover our mouths, but the idea is when it happens, it just comes out of us and we can't contain it. So like this shit is so fucking funny. You probably seen it, but this shit is so fucking funny. But now I want you to pay attention to the head movement, because you cannot listen to this shit without laughing. But the type of laugh is my head is thrown back kind of laugh. That motherfucking laugh is so funny. That shit is so funny, like I can't control it. You ain't dying, it's giving you life on the other hand. But it's like they all lead to the same road or outcome goal. But anyways. Hey, Dad, I'm your son, okay? Hey, Dan. No, you look. He did both. Look, again. Hey, Dad, I'm your son, okay? Hey, Dan. No, you don't. Right there. Right there. Like. No, you don't. So it was so funny to him to where like he couldn't. And like he even like did the forward lean, the lean slap, like when you just slump over from laughter. Like he did both. He was rocking. Like again, it was something inside of him that was trying to get out of him, is what I'm saying. So all of this comes down to us understanding parts of the self. And it's hard to explain because it's a feeling. And I can't give you one scenario without giving you the infinite number of scenarios that feeling can exist within. But you have to know there's a lord of that feeling, which is that laugh. When laugh happens, that lord of the emotion of whatever you want to define laughter as, joyful, pleasurable, whatever like sub feeling category you want to put it on, the superior category is also included with that. This range or emotion that I'm referring to, this thing has a lord in and of itself, separate from the individual layers. In other words, this plastic foot ruler is the same as this wooden foot ruler versus this metal foot ruler versus this fuzzy felt blanket like foot ruler. What is the common denominator? What do you think is the ruler? Oh, it's the Lord. I meant to say the Lord. I always do that shit. My students would get mad at me because I would try to give them pop quizzes like that, and I would always lead with the answer and not the question. So my question was, who do you think is the Lord of all of those rulers? It's the ruler. So whatever we're defining ruler as, that is the lordship. So, but even in that, the ruler itself is a word for my type of language. So there is another ruler outside of that. So you got to start to see, like, I can name it and then I can unname it and name it something else all at once. That is one thing over here. The reason why is that's all of you in the past. All of you in the past is not the same as the nigga right here thinking about the past. So the point of this is to see how we can love ourselves change by seeing what version of you is the Lord of those versions collectively. Because now, instead of saying all of these different colors or experiences and personalities of this person, of me of the past, I can now just say, oh yeah, that was me when I was 22 and I was an asshole. My villain era. Those concepts that we can generate as a generalization, we generate them, we make them, and then we produce seeds that can be made from these things that we've just created. Fruits, in other words. We can potentialize those things based upon what we can see as an overall theme. As we develop an understanding of that theme, now we can start to see ourselves gleam in a new beam of light. In other words, a new perspective. So, going back to Bobby, my granny. Bobby was trying to give an experience that was probably that he always talks about like his dad was super tough and strict. So he's talking, he's tough, he's strict, typical of Asian community. I know this because I've worked with them and I've seen them, and everyone's great. I mean, it's the same. It's the same. But in the Asian community, just like in the Hispanic community, there are certain things that people actually care about as an overall theme. So it's not just education inside of the Asian community. The it's like lifelong learning, always improving, development, growth, and change. The Asian community really understands it. It's progression. They know that shit. And I think that's why they do the things that they do in a particular manner. Again, there's always variance, but they do what they do because those things drive everybody because they've been driving people for a very long time. The self that has been changing has still had little alterations, but overall the theme is the same. R.L. Stein always writes horror books, even though they change from time to time. You know, Nora Roberts always writes novels, but guess what? The themes change time to time, but she gonna write a motherfucking love novel. You know, I think you get the picture. Now, going back to Bobby again, the Hispanic community, theirs is all about communal family. They're super traditional, just like in the Arabic community. And I'm using these blanketed general terms because I'm looking for general themes, not stereotypes. That's a specific point of view upon a specific group that can be adopted or not. No, these are things that these motherfuckers would say about themselves. Like black people were very expressive. That is our key term, but a lot of people don't realize that Asians are just as expressive as black people. There's such a close tie to the Asian community and the black community. Notice I'm saying black opposed to African because, again, I'm talking about a theme across all scales. Again, this is the lordship. So, like whiteness versus blackness, those are colors for most people, but on a application towards the self across time, you have to realize that things are dark and things are light. Oh, things might be black and things might be white. Ooh, contrast. Might be heads, might be tails. So, you should be understanding that it's not. Look, my hand is up. This nigga hand is up. That's what I'm saying. But that was the example right there. I didn't give you that example of recognizing that we were just enacting the same action. All I did was live the life as I was, and then a lordship came by and was like, boom, here's this epiphany. And I was like, damn, there's an epiphany. And guess what? Now there's three. There's previous me who was just doing the acting. Then there is the director who could, or the Lord, And then there was the moment that was created when we all came together and we were unified or in a neutralized state. What is the neutralized state? It's when Theo and Bobby start laughing.
You're back. I'm your son. Okay. Hey, Dan. Bobby. No, you don't. Sorry, just do it like me.
Right there. When he said, I don't know, because he didn't. He didn't. Like, he said, be your dad. So what did he do? Because Theo's smart as fuck and he understands, like, all parts of what Bobby is saying. Multiple lords came up and said, do this. So how do I get a bunch of leaders to do one thing and not be individuals? Well, now we're at the Lego movie. The Lego movie expresses all the superheroes and how they were able to sit there and be their own master builders, creators of all of their independence and fully expressing themselves to the point to where you have president business, which is one side, and the exact opposite, which is Kyle Cuckoo Land, which is, again, it sounds fucking crazy. And it was crazy. So these extremes are just like the dark and the light. It's the white and the black. We throw brown and yellow in there because motherfuckers want to hear that to feel better and try to rationalize it, but we don't subjugate ourselves to those things. It's color. And then there's black, then there's whites. I don't care what kind of color it is. So that is what we're getting to when we're starting to realize that the differences behind all of us is the fact that we're all blanketed and we're general. Emmett was the most regular ass nigga, and he was the most non-regular ass nigga. Why? Because he was the motherfucking chosen one. So how can the one chosen to do nothing be the one chosen to do all? How can that be? How can that be? The fact that Emmett was the most regular schmegular, like basic human or Lego in existence. It was so neutralized completely to the point to where it was absolutely just forgotten about. That's the key. Because it's forgotten, nobody can see. We use things like cards. I use this video, this phone, all of these things to see. And that helps us to comprehend. And it's not even us, it's the lords who are acquiring their information. They're collecting data. And now when they get their data and they choose to all feed, the leaders of each department choose to feed that information to the overall leader, that overall leader has another overall leader, and it repeats the cycle. Like when you grow from cells into, when you just grow from cells, and that will lead you into different things. I want to start off with atoms, because go atoms, molecules, elements, then you get into like multi-tiered cells, and all it gets so deep, but it's just Legos. Doesn't matter which color, how many pieces, what dimensions, we just stacking. So we're gonna see what our overall energy is, and then we'll come back because I wasn't expecting to tell all that. But hey, go run tell that by sharing. But for real though, check out the TikTok, man. I think that's cool. I gotta do different things because I wanna be here. I think I can do this shit like every day, but it's like, I gotta figure out how, how, something in general. But if you didn't feel like I finished the Emmett story, the whole point of that is because Emmett was blank, he had the piece of resistance. And what does resistance mean? That means this is an old dog learning a new trick. And the new trick is just the beginning of, something again, which that's really what causes people to not want to do it. They don't want to start over. So when you are in the gym and people are saying, you got to work out till failure, All they're doing is trying to teach your mind how to overcome the obstacle of being blank. So what do? A good trainer should tell you how to pair up your exercises to where if I'm doing, let's say, something for my backside, then when I'm dead and I failed, I gotta get up and instantly start working my front side. Now my backside isn't the leader, it's the follower. It's not the lord of the emotion any longer. It's just a feeling summed up as a part of another lordship. You're a peasant again, Mr. King. You're a regular ass person now. What you gonna do? You don't have the power. This is what we call humbling people or humility. The humility aspect is knowing that even if you the chicken wing guy on the Lego movie, even if you Batman, even if you the girl who kept changing her name, Starfire, Foxfire, whatever the fuck, forgot. You're all gonna start over eventually. I mean, that's what Vitruvius was saying. You got to remember. And what you're just remembering is that somebody else motivated you at some point in time. So, here I am trying to give you that same MO, but I'm trying to tell you to become your own Lord so that you can know how to give yourself the throne. You can abdicate the throne. You don't have to always try to steal the throne from yourself. You can just change perspectives, and then you can change lordships, and then you can realize you're playing a different game, you're building a different puzzle, you're trying on a different face of makeup, you're making a new recipe, you're going to a different school, and you can start to see the benefit in that starting over. So, all right, I'm gonna start over and actually try to give y'all a reading instead of a talk. Let's see what our energy is going to be discussing, what we got going on. So, what's our overall energy for our reading coming up? Smooth mental sailing to new places in the world. All right, let's see what this information is going to come out as. See you next time.